Hi, hello, Wagwan. Welcome to another episode of the group chat. Today in the group chat, as promised, I have author and artiste Candace Hanna. If you guys remember my episode where I was talking about, worrying about my trip to Tulum, where I referenced the book Warrior Queendom, I have now here in the chat for you guys the author, so we can go into some more details on how awesome this book is and all the things behind it. So, getting to know the author a little bit. So, to kick things off, we can start with you kind of like sharing the inspiration behind the book. Like, what made you, write the book and why?
Okay, so Warrior Queendom actually started out as entries into my journal.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't intentionally, I wasn't writing a book intentionally. A book came through me
Oh, I
and
like
I
that.
allowed it to come through
Oh,
me.
yes.
And the more I wrote, the more I heard.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I was hearing all the things. I was hearing admonishment.
Mm-hmm.
I was hearing you weren't created to just sit
Be.
here and write.
Mm-hmm.
You were created to share. You were created to do art. If you look back when you were a child, all the things that you enjoyed as a child, that's what you need to be doing now. And that's what brings purpose and fulfillment into your life.
Wow.
And like I said, the more I wrote, the more I spent time. I spent a lot of time in my closet.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through something at the time, um, and spent a lot of time in my closet. And I would spend, overnight in my closet, just receiving and writing and
Mm-hmm.
healing and loving on me
Mm-hmm.
and growing in the process. And, like I said, I received the message, okay, this is you. I don't give you anything to keep.
Mm-hmm.
It's for you to
To
share.
share. Wow.
And so it began to, chapters became, the book.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
That is beautiful.
Oh,
That is
thank you.
beautiful and well
Thank
said.
you.
Like I
Thank you.
had chills to listening to it because it's definitely received. Like from reading
Good.
the book,
Good.
that
Good.
you said, as you were writing, you begin to hear, and you realize that it wasn't for you only; it was
Right.
for you to share. So
Right.
thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for even sharing your art with us. So guys, we have some of our art pieces here. On set with us to kind of like, showcase all aspects of Miss Hannah today.
Thank you.
And on this podcast, guys, we pour up tea that is good for your consumption, not just spilling tea, because spilling tea is messy. So, we had some tea brewing here, and we're going to sip while we chat. And while I pour the tea up, I'm going to share a little bit of background on how I met Miss Hannah. And I don't really call her Miss Hannah.
No,
But
it's fine.
for premise here, I feel like you gotta put respect on her name, okay? um, so our son had karate classes together, and funny enough, our boys became friends first, and then it kind of like it led us to being friends. And in the same way, how we are kind of like similar with certain things, it's the same way our boys are similar. So it's like they just kind of like connected in class, and then we're like, oh well, I guess we'll sit here and talk while they play.
Honestly, I was drawn to your spirit.
Yeah.
I was drawn to your spirit. Yeah,
Wow.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of women in there, a lot of moms in there, a
Mhm.
lot of dads in there, all that kind of stuff. But it was something about you I was drawn to, and I felt like, okay, she's someone
Someone
that I
you
can
can
talk.
talk to.
And I don't know what it is, but I know that God is always working,
That
and
is
God
true.
works through, me. He
Mhm.
works through you, and okay, all
No,
right,
I,
I'll
I'm
stop.
I'm glad you said that because I definitely do feel that because we are. I do, we're kindred spirits. We're like soul sisters.
Right.
From all of our conversations, it's like you'll say something and I immediately understand it, and then
Mm-hmm.
vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and like you said, God is very intentional. So if you guys have not seen the episode where I was talking about my trip worrying in Tulum, I mentioned where you had sent me a text message while I was there worrying, and you had no idea what I was
None.
going through at all. And you allow God to speak through you, and
Yeah.
you sent me that message. And I kid you not, like I remember sitting in the midst of everything, in the midst of my emotionalness. I was able to smile and reminded like God cared so much about me that he spoke to you to talk to me. Because he knew in where I wasn't going to be able to receive it anywhere else but through that text message. So
I'm
thanks
so
again.
glad. And that is my goal. I just want to be used. I just
Yeah.
want to be a blessing, and that's it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
yay.
So
Yay, God.
take a sip. Yes. Cheers to God. We're sipping to God right now.
Yes. Oh, yum.
That's good.
It
Yeah.
is. It
The
is.
neem leaf is bitter, but the elderberry helps balance it out, I think. So that's a good,
It's a
yeah.
nice balance. All right.
So now we're going to jump into the chapters of your book. And when I read a book, guys, one, I take forever, so please forgive me. But when I do read, I like to highlight things inside the book that resonate with me, so that way when I read it again, I know exactly what I'm looking for, what I'm, trying to get, or also what I missed, because it might be something like adjacent to what I've already highlighted that I'm like, oh man, I missed that part.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about like the you mentioned your chapters and how they kind of like came, and I'm going to kind of like read through these chapters real quick for you guys to kind of like give an overview of all what's inside of this book. And it being your journal entries, knowing that, oh my gosh. um so chapter 1, of course, we have the dedication, and then chapter 2 is battle of fear, something that we can all resonate with. Battle of self-expression, battle of self-acceptance, battle of self-discovery, battle of alignment, battle of motherhood, battle of worth. So those are the first 8 chapters that talks about the battles that we all experience, and then goes into I'm going to just skip to the last one because you guys have to get the book to like really see what's going on in here. And chapter 13 and 14, the last two. Chapter 13 is his love letter to me, and my assignment is chapter 14, which I feel like is, we're getting to kind of like live through your assignment a little bit here with,
Right.
you sharing your word. So go into a little bit of details on like the chapters and like the flow of things and like what were you
Oh my goodness.
experiencing.
Okay. Can I see?
Yes, of
'Cause
course.
um, all right. So, battle of fear.
Mhm.
Battle of fear is something that we all live with, but it starts when you have that first experience
Mhm.
of being hurt.
Mhm.
Whether it's physically, emotionally. Sometimes when you're hurt, the next time that same situation or something similar comes up,
Mhm.
you're hesitant, you know, um, and you're facing this roadblock over and over and over again,
Mhm.
right? And was that the definition of
Yeah.
insanity? Keep
Yeah.
doing the same
Same thing
thing over.
over,
So
expecting
either
something
you have to
different.
figure out a way around it,
Mhm.
or you go crazy,
Mhm.
you know? And so that's basically what that chapter is all about. You want me to go into like the
We don't have to go into
okay,
details yet because I have a few highlighted parts that I'm gonna like go through and say
okay.
which of the chapter was like the most hard for you to write or the most
Mm.
fulfilling for you to write. Which one did you enjoy the most or least?
Mm. um, this was a challenging book. It was challenging because it I had to face a lot of things about myself that I didn't necessarily
Want to.
want to confront, you know? All my weaknesses, all my vulnerabilities are in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very personal. Like
Mm-hmm.
for anyone.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it's probably Battle of Worth.
Oh, okay.
It's probably Battle of Worth. Um, because of where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very hurt little girl, you know. Um, and trying to work through those feelings. I had to go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
I had as an adult, had an experience that brought out a little child response that I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
understand.
Why? Mm-hmm.
And it froze me. And so I had to figure out why I responded that way. Because any other person, I felt like, especially an adult, a grown woman, you know, would have fought, you know? And I was frozen. And it didn't make any sense to me. And I tried to rationalize. No, not even rationalize. I tried to laugh it off, you know, as if, oh, it's nothing, but it was. And I knew it was. I knew it in my spirit that it was. And my response was not appropriate to the situation. So, yeah, battle of worth. That is the, yeah.
And as I was reading the book, everything that you said, like I said, there's again a chapter in there about alignment, and everything kind of aligns with, you know, my personal journey. And I definitely feel like others can relate to this book, which is why I thought it was very important. And I'm really excited, you know, to be going through this episode and talking about this book with you. You said that it was challenging because, you know, you had to be vulnerable, and there's certain parts of you that other people are getting ready to see that most people would keep to themselves.
Right.
And again, because when you were reading too, I'm like, I learned some stuff about you that I didn't know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Before I get to it, there was one chapter, you know, I mentioned that too on my episode where you said I got high again.
Oh yeah.
And when I was reading it, you know, I'm reading it in your voice, you know, because you talk so much. So it's just like hearing you say that.
Yeah.
It was like, and but that's the thing. Also, I felt it. I felt the emotion of it. Yeah. You know, I felt what you were going through at the time. I felt you coming to that realization that you didn't need to get high again, but you got high again.
Yeah.
And me being in pretty much that exact same place where I have like, I'm having that same battle where it's like, I know I don't need to get high again, but sometimes I'm just like, maybe one more time won't hurt.
Yeah.
But it's just like, is it going to take you where you need to go? Is it going to help you to complete your assignment?
Yes, that's right.
You know, when God has already spoken to you and giving you this clear vision of your life, it's time for you to do away with those distractions and, you know, those coping mechanisms, you know, because that's what it has been for me. So again, when I read that part, I was like, Lord, this you?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. And what they say is the book will find its audience, right?
Yes.
And so, yeah, if it resonated with you, it was definitely for you.
Yes, that it did. And so now some of the earlier chapters I'm going to go back into because she shared with, you know, she shares a story when she was a little girl and she got hurt on the playground. And again, you know, it was really fun to like listen and to hear you navigating those challenges from then, and then, you know, you brought us through like adulthood and motherhood and all that stuff. And I'm trying to see if I should read the whole part here. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little excerpt. So mentally I began questioning my ability to do everything, right? And again, something I feel like we can all resonate with, to the point of stagnation. I never dealt with it. I didn't understand I needed to. I held it in, carried it as a burden that weighed my spirit down. All right, so these are the things we're questioning ourselves, our own abilities, and carrying it with us, weighing our own, you know, spirit down on a day-to-day. And sometimes we need to just like release those things and, you know, give it to God.
That's right.
So we can navigate through.
That's right.
And I was no longer free in my childish way of coping. I carefully placed a little cube of ice where it hurt my heart. Just for
prophylactic.
Yes, purposes. If something like that happened again, I'd be prepared. It wouldn't hurt as much. In most cases, I'd use an even stronger antidote and stop challenging myself altogether. If I failed again, I didn't think I could handle it. Embarrassment would overwhelm me. It made me hesitant. It made me question whether I had the audacity to be who I believed I was. And it trailed me the most of my life, right? All over one honest mistake, probably not, but an accumulation of improperly resolved mistakes over a lifetime, absolutely. Almost 50 years of perceived mistakes, chipping away at who I believed myself to be, carving away my courage, crawling through my confidence until I began to feel hollow inside. I never stopped to think that all those embarrassing mistakes, no matter how big or small, over all these years, never defined me. I allowed them to confine me when they were actually there to refine me. Those mistakes chiseled me closer to my center, where infinite wisdom patiently resides. And just that paragraph alone packs so much weight, holds so much weight.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice to someone who is going through that season of their life where they're carrying a lot of things that they don't need to, where they don't realize that their mistakes are okay? Mistakes are okay. And they serve a purpose into, like you said, chiseling you into the woman you are today.
Yes, absolutely. And I tell my kids, I keep touching this. I tell my kids that all the time. Make mistakes. That's the only way you're gonna learn. That's the only way you're gonna find out. You know, you run into a big brick wall. You have to find out how to get around the brick wall. So if you keep running into the brick wall, at some point you'll realize, okay, it's something here. I want to get over it. Do I climb over it? No, that's too hard. Do I go around it? Maybe, but it might be danger over here. Do I, you know what I'm saying? But you have to figure it out. You have to. Otherwise, you stay stagnant. You remain stagnant. And that is not what God is intended for you. The climb, the getting over is the process. And God wants us to go through the process. That's the way we become closer. That's the way we figure out just who we are, what we're made of. And okay, yeah.
That's good.
Because I started talking a lot. So,
and no, that's what we're here for. Trust me, they're here for it. Having these conversations because they're not had enough.
Right. I didn't have this. My mom didn't talk to me. I didn't know, right now I'm so determined because Cogent, my 10-year-old, I'm so determined to be the parent that I needed for him. Because it took me a while to figure out from my older ones that I needed to be a different parent for each child.
Ooh, okay.
Right? Each personality. I needed 3 different personalities for my oldest 4 now, for my kids because they needed something different from me. Each one of them needed something different from me. My mom, she
was the same through all.
Yeah, she was only who she knew to be. She was who she was for her. She was the oldest sibling. So she was the mom for all 7 of her siblings. That's how she knew motherhood. Her mom had to go. Her mom was a businesswoman. She had to be gone. So my mom was the mom. So when it came, she beat them, all of that stuff, keep them in line. And so when it came to us, she just did what she knew how to do. And then that's what we all do, right?
Yep. Our conditioning, we get conditioned as we grow up and we don't become aware of the things that conditioned us. And then we just start to operate in those conditioning without realizing that you have the option to strip away those things.
Right.
You have the option to learn anew.
That's right.
You have the option to develop. Like you said, you had to learn 3 different personalities, 4 different personalities for each of your children. And I'm glad you said that because I didn't know that I'm going to need to do that. I'm not sure if I'm going to have any more kids yet. That's to be determined. But I'm glad now I know I have to be prepared to pivot for, if I have another child in the things that I do. Because right now with my 10-year-old, I'm, failing forward where I'm just I'm trying this. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm praying and hoping.
A great job. You are doing an excellent job. I'm trying to tell you.
Thank you. But I put out those intentions of, we want the best for our children and we have to figure out what that means for us and how we can, support them in being their best self. And that comes with letting them know it's okay to make a mistake.
Right.
My son recently made he makes mistakes all the time, right? He's a boy and he's hard on himself. And I think it's traits that were passed down from me because I was hard on myself. So I'm just why is this boy, he's only 10. Why is he so hard on himself? Who taught him that? But, I think, again, it was genetically passed down. So now I have to teach him how to unlearn that behavior that I unlearned or is still unlearning, now.
That's the thing, because our kids become who we are at the time we're raising them.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing right now. He needs to see what you're doing right now in order for him to get the confidence to be who he needs to be. So what you do, and I see you do it, you constantly put yourself in situations where you're growing, and he will see it, and he'll do the same. Yeah. He'll do so. That's why I say you're excellent. So don't worry, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Thank you. I received that. I definitely received that. As mothers, we definitely sometimes we can worry. I think I take that. I know, like for my mom, she worries so much about me because sometimes she feels like she failed me, and sometimes I have to also reassure her, like, you did what you did with who you were at the time. Mm-hmm. You couldn't have done anything more. You couldn't have done anything less. And what you did was more than enough. It was sufficient enough for me to take that and do a little bit more, or shift the narrative, or do these things. So it's like, don't beat yourself up, Mom. Yeah. Mom, don't beat yourself up.
Don't beat yourself up, right?
So we're going to jump into the chapter where you kind of touched on it a little bit, motherhood. That is where I was going to go into next. Okay. But we kind of like touched into that. And let me see. Like I say, see, I have a whole bunch of, so the Battle of Motherhood, I'm going to read a line out of here. Oh, okay. Okay. So growing up, it's a little bit more than a line. Growing up, I had a pretty traditional relationship with my mom. She told me what to do, and I was obedient. There was no room for my opinion on the matter because it didn't.
Not.
I read that. Like, look, I wish I could show you guys. I had to underline that one because
yeah.
I think this right now is a message, a SOS, something for us as a culture, for humanity, to start to switch that voice of reasoning, saying that kids' voice should not matter, their opinions don't matter, and they should not have a voice in certain things. Yes, there's a time and a place for everything. Yes, kids should be not be in adult conversations. However, their opinions do matter on a lot of topics because they're the ones that's growing and navigating through these things. And that's one of the things I'm trying to find the good lining for with teaching my son, because that can also go left, right? If we give them too much, then they can do that. They can take it the wrong way, with being too opinionated or talking back and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So trying to find that middle ground of like, hey, I'm still the adult here, right? But you do have a voice. You do have a safe space to speak.
Let's have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
You having okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Come on, let's talk about it. And then you give your reasoning and let them give their reasoning, and then you steer them in the direction. You know what I mean? But they do, like you said, they have a voice, and it matters because suppressing that voice will lead to self-expression.
Adults who don't know how to express themselves, then they're in the workplace, they don't know how to speak up for themselves, they're being mistreated in certain spaces, and they were taught to be quiet.
Yes. Yes.
So if y'all aren't convinced yet, y'all need a copy of this book, okay? This is not a paid promo. This is real life, real chat in the group chat, about navigating life, finding the warrior within.
Finding the warrior within. And one more thing about, and then you can add, one more thing about this book is, as the political climate is enraging at this moment, I keep getting little messages. You wrote this for this moment. For this moment, right now. Because what we're experiencing right now is necessary. It's necessary. It's necessary because it removes us from going and buying all this stuff at Target, or from participating in certain things that are really just a distraction, and for us to focus in on who we are.
Agreed.
Build yourself up. I don't know if I edited it out, but I have things in there about growing your own food. You know what I'm saying? We're right now in a situation where at any point, they could shut all this down. And where will we be at that time?
who will we
So
be?
who will we be?
Yeah.
That's right. So yeah.
No.
It's very, God knew what he was doing.
Yes.
God always
Mm-hmm.
knows what God is doing. But when I looked, I'm like, oh my goodness, I talked about all this stuff in the book, you know? And so it came through me for this very moment. Okay. And I'm gonna
don't hold back, because like you said, God is intentional, and like I'm literally smiling and my heart is smiling listening, because I have my copy of the book for some time now. And I remember, every time I would, I would see you where we were at the class or stuff, and I'm like, I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to. Every time I would see her, I would say it, and I can see in her face, girl, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a requirement to be my friend to read my book, you know? So
Right.
I really could read it on your face, but I really wanted to read the book. And when I finally got into the book, and when I was reading on that trip, I was like, I didn't need to read it then. I needed to read it now.
Oh, wow.
I needed it now in this moment.
Wow.
And while, sometimes we can beat ourselves up for procrastinating, but divine timing and alignment is a real thing when your heart is set on, seeking after God or seeking after your purpose.
Right.
Seeking after doing more, seeking after doing your part in, the collective shift that is happening.
Yes.
Because like you said, after all this political stuff tears down and does what it's supposed to do and break down certain systematic things, it's going to be for us to have something in place. All we got is
us.
Yeah.
All we got is us.
And it's our duty to heal ourselves, to grow in our self-awareness, to be able to hear the voice of God, that spirit that dwells within, being able to hear all of that. And this book highlights all of that from start to finish.
And allowing God to express himself through us. Through us. I truly feel that is our purpose, to just open up, relax, because it can't happen if we're all tensed up and, all this extra, because that's in there too. But you have to relax and allow that expression to come, whatever it is, whether it's art and, whether it's art, whether it's dance, whether it's, just whatever, whoever you are, like what you're doing right now, this podcast, you know what I'm saying? Just giving a platform for people to express themselves is beautiful. So yeah, that's what God wants us to do. God is so excited. I feel like when you're in your creative zone, that's God coming through and excited, and you're, just doing whatever God wants to, allowing God to do whatever he wants to do with you. No better feeling than that.
That's why, like,
if you see like a gymnast and the gymnast is on the floor doing, that's God, man.
Working, yes, that is true.
That's God.
It brings that sense of peace and, that sense of connectiveness, and like, seeing someone, the work that they put in to get there, to give you this finished product, right? Everything that you went through to give us this book. It's just like, again, God being intentional from start to finish. Because mind you, this podcast, everything has been brewing. You've been doing your book. Everything has been, and it all just aligns.
Right.
The message in this book, like I was like, when I read the book and, just getting to know you, I'm just like, it's like everything just makes so much sense. And even the part in the book where you did talk about, you went into some details, because you're a massage therapist, right?
Yes.
And you went into some details about it. I was like, I didn't know this. I need all the advice, okay? I needed all the advice that this book gave. I'm like, okay, Shamika, start relaxing, because, you're too tense in the muscles. Like, be okay. And those things, create chronic illnesses.
Yes.
So I'm just like, everything that I needed reminders of, that I needed to hear, from a different perspective.
I'm so glad it resonated. This really warms my heart. It does.
Yes. And I haven't checked the timer, so I'm going to ask you to kind of like go into the two art pieces that we have here. If you want to share a little bit about what inspired them, and did your art come before the book or after the book?
No, my art came because of the book.
Oh.
Because of the book. Like I said, God was writing through me. And as I'm writing, honestly, at some point, my hand was just writing by itself. And I'm looking at my hand as I'm writing. So I had all these experiences to let me know, girl, be obedient, you know. And God was admonishing me, you, this is what you did as a child.
Yeah.
As a child, you used to draw. As a child, you used to, used to do gymnastics, used to run, used to all of this stuff. You're an athlete,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you're not doing any of it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and this is why you feel this stagnation in you.
Mm.
So yeah, as a result of me writing this book is for me.
Mm-hmm.
All of this stuff is God telling me this is what you need to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I started to do those things for my own fulfillment. And so yeah, so this one, and I don't have, honestly, I don't have a lot of explanation for my art, because I have a lot of art, but this one was this piece and another piece was at Gillies, which is in Stone Mountain, the coffee shop there. And it just so happened that today was the day that I had to get my artwork
From there?
from Gillies. And it was in my car. And I'm like, oh, you want to use it for the podcast? So yeah.
Awesome.
So this one, I can tell you, a lot of people interpret it in a lot of different ways. Some people look at it and, think that it's someone, blowing smoke because, they're relaxing and, in space and they're high and just enjoying it. But what it is space. From my interpretation, of course, everybody interprets it differently.
Right.
But the name of it is Mama Gaia.
Mama Gaia.
Right. So I interpret it as Mother Earth. And the gases are our air that we breathe. The blue is the water. The hair is the land, We got the lips. I have a little blood for the people. But yeah, that's Mama Gaia. Nice. And this one is Caught Up.
Oh, okay.
Caught Up. I was really into just music.
Yeah, he looks caught up in some music for real.
So I just he was caught up. I was caught up. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to read a little note. I just realized that it's back here too. When I got the book, she did write a little note here for me, and it says, Shamika, keep seeking, right? No, keep rocking your beautiful smile. It's a reflection of your spirit. So the irony of, my spirit being drawn to you and then you saying that and it being one of my biggest insecurities, I was just like, everything's just like so perfect. Now, we made a few plans to record this episode a few times and the plan didn't fall through. We rescheduled a few times. And one of those times I'd already given you your flowers.
Yes. And let me tell you, my flowers lasted. Oh,
I'm sorry. Yes.
My flowers, they were so beautiful and they lasted like 3 weeks.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking like maybe 2 weeks, which would be good.
They were like, and bright and full. Yeah. So.
Okay. But lean forward for me, please. So I did get you some more flowers.
Oh, they're beautiful.
And I saw these and I noticed that they painted them, which I figured, it reminded me of you. So I'm just like, I'm gonna get her some of these. Because you do deserve your flowers.
Thank you.
Even a second time.
Thank you.
And definitely I feel like giving flowers
Thank you.
Giving flowers give a deeper message even after the flowers are gone. So I definitely want to, make sure that they get to see you receiving your flowers this time. And
thank you so much.
Yeah, to, encourage you to keep on going. Again, another thank you for sharing your book with us, for writing this for us, the collective. And I'm excited for, everyone who gets a chance to read this book and what it does for them, and the shift that we're all experiencing here. And just all of that.
Yeah.
So yes,
thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm so glad that we finally, because time after time after time, but we had a good time anyway.
We definitely did.
Yeah. This has been wonderful. I was very apprehensive at first because I'm like, oh no,
what are you gonna
I don't want to be in front of the camera. But one of my affirmations is do it scared. Do it scared. Do it scared, y'all. Just do it. Because if not, you'll remain stagnant, and that's not where it's at. So do it anyway.
Awesome. Yes, do it anyway. Yeah. And funny enough, I think every guest I've had on here, they are a little bit, nervous and anxious and not really too fond of wanting to be in front of the camera. So I'm always reminding them, like, this is literally just a conversation here in the group chat.
Yeah.
And that's like. The intent of it is to come in and just have a conversation from various perspectives, so we can all kind of like learn from each other, gain something, and get to that place of being comfortable. So if you want to join me here in the group chat, just DM me. We can, figure something out, talk about what you're experiencing or something that you're passionate about, so we can, have some more conversations here in the group chat that we need to have. So thank you guys for listening. Until next time. Cheers.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you as well. This was good. This was a good conversation.